This has been some kind of season. It has been a long time. Thank you to everybody that is here tonight and every Mariners fan in the Pacific Northwest. You brought the electricity tonight to this building, and it was unbelievable. You have made a difference with this team, and I thank you.
Wow. Oh, my gosh. Holy cow. Thanks, Tim.
We're always thinking of you. You're around 365.
Yeah, no doubt. But I was just going to make a comment. Big Dumper's in the house with a nice sports jacket on and everything. So step up. It's all good. But 2023, it's on. Let's go. Questions. What do we got? Statements? No opening statement. We haven't played a game. We haven't done anything. Last year was awesome, and we look forward to getting better. Doesn't matter, get better, right?
Questions for Scott. Stoney?
Hey, Scott. In what areas do you think you're going to be better this year? What leads you to believe that this team can do better than you did last year?
Well, the key to our season last year, I said all along, was our starting pitching. I thought really carried us all year. And then when the addition of Luis Castillo, we just took it to another level. So you're hoping those guys can stay healthy, really key. But it was a struggle for us offensively last year, certainly early in the season, getting consistent offense up and down the lineup. So with, more experience, guys going through, things late in the season, in the playoffs, hopefully will really help us getting off to a little bit better start. And we've added some pieces. Excited about the additions we have with Teoscar Hernandez, Colton Wong, A.J. Pollock, Tommy LaStella's on board. Tom Murphy coming back and keeping him healthy. So, consistent offense is really what excites me most about our club.
Jen?
What's the benefit of having somebody like Luis Castillo there from the beginning of the season, and even Gino Suarez, who came in during spring training last year?
Yeah, it is a benefit having him. Certainly the guy at the top of your rotation, and we all saw the ability that Luis has and how he can just change the game, just take the mound and then dominate, take over the game. And what that does, it helps your whole club. It's just a different vibe around your team. Certainly helps the bullpen on the day he's going to pitch. He's going to go out there. He's going to get deep into the ball game. He's going to win a lot of games for us. There's no question about that. So having him from day one, it's different. We haven't been around Luis in spring training before. So, kind of his workup mode, what he does to get ready for a season. I know our pitching coach is talking to him, but everybody's a little bit different. And certainly these guys have routines when they get a little bit deeper in their career. So I'm excited to have him, for the whole season. I felt like we had Gino for like 2 or 3 seasons last year. He brought so much to our team on the field, in the clubhouse, the personality, and it's always interesting with Gino. He's means so much to our ball club.
Hey, Scott, Logan and George, 2 young guys who had really good years for you last year. What's kind of the next step for those 2 in 2023?
I think those guys learned a lot, just how to manage the workload going through a complete major league season, and then pitching in the intensity level of the playoffs and what that takes, and how to stay at that level. I think the one thing we're trying to get both of those guys do, and Jerry and Justin hit on it earlier, is last year from the first day of spring training, Logan Gilbert was throwing 98 miles an hour. First bullpen he threw. I really don't want to see that. We don't want to see it this year. We are going to have a little bit different ramp up with him and George as well. So I think the big thing with these guys is we've seen it before. Sometimes seasons can get away from you if you don't stay healthy, certainly on the mound. And keeping those guys healthy, all these guys, starting pitching is so vital to having a chance to win every night. And, we put great streaks together. The 14-game win streak, it was awesome. We had some come-from-behind wins, but it was driven by starting pitching. We were in the game every night, and that'll be the key for our season this year.
Hey, Scott. We're not too far removed from an era where, in the American League specifically, bench players weren't seen or heard very much. They collected a lot of cobwebs. You guys have taken a different tact in terms of how you utilize your bench. It seems like this year, with the personnel you have an opportunity to probably mix and match I'm sitting next to Shannon here, so I'm going to not ask
Don't go line
lineup
up
questions.
instructions today.
But
Yeah.
no, just how is that going to help moving forward?
Well, I think it is important, and we need to get all of our players to understand how important it is, and JP being one of them. JP is the grinder. He wants to play every day, and it's hard to take him out of the lineup. But I think what we're seeing over time here, he can be probably more effective offensively for certain if he does get consistent days off. And this is the deepest team we've had since I've been here. From our starting pitching to the bullpen to the regular lineup to the guys on the bench, they can all play, and they all play a huge role in allowing us to get back to the playoffs and hopefully, like I said, winning the division. But, you got to be cognizant of it. It's one of the things for myself, leaning on coaching staff, leaning on our HP staff, our trainers, our strength coaches, everybody communicating. We spent a lot of time this offseason in trying to shore up those communication lines. And we have, as you know, around me, we have a lot of meetings. But the only way to understand where people are at is you've got to communicate. And I think doing a better job with our position players, I think we've done a really nice job with our pitching. But it's been a focus for us this offseason. How can we get better of keeping our position players, as close to 100% as possible? Because we were on fumes there at the end with a number of players who were banged up and how they were trying to struggle through it. It happens, but you want to stay out ahead of it, be proactive with it, and I think it's something that we're on this offseason.
Scott, Jerry said that he believes you guys can contend for the division. What about this team? I know you mentioned it was deeper, but what about this team makes you believe you guys can make a run at the Astros or whoever that usually wins this division?
Well, the last time I checked, we played them 3 really good games. We're probably one swing of the bat away from winning all 3 of those games. They go on to win the World Series. They're a really good team, and they're not going anywhere. We're a really good team. We're not going anywhere. So I say that, and our division's gotten better. We're not the only team that's gotten better. Everybody has made some moves to improve. So it'll be very competitive. Of course, the schedule's a little bit different this year. We play everybody in the big leagues this year. So you play less interdivision games, which will change things a little bit. But I think the experience that we gained with our team last year down the stretch and in the playoffs is going to really help us going forward. And the closeness, the chemistry amongst this group, just because the season ended, they didn't end those relationships. These guys are talking, they're hanging out, they're at weddings, they're doing different things throughout the offseason and staying in touch. They can't wait to get back to spring training and take the next step.
Hey, Scott, this question comes from Zach on YouTube. How are you planning to train for the rule changes during spring training?
Good question. We just had a Zoom call with MLB people on Monday with all my coaching staff going through, kind of the particulars of all the new rule changes so everybody could hear it from the top. I think it's really important. I was exposed to it at the winter meetings, but making sure all of our coaches understand it and have the ability to ask questions. Certainly the pitch clock will play into the game. The game will speed up. It needed to speed up. It will be a little bit of an adjustment period for players, but these are the best in the world. Our guys are used to making adjustments. I don't think it's going to be a big issue, but it's something you'll see a little bit different as we get going in spring training. The rules will be put in effect immediately, so players have a chance to adjust over the 25, 30 games we play in Arizona. But pitch clock will be big. Obviously, the no shift rule will help the game. There'll be more offense. We need more offense. We need more action. I think there'll be a bigger emphasis put on the stolen base, and on the flip side, defending the stolen base. The bases are a little bit bigger. You can't throw to the bases. As many pickoffs as you had, the better. They're just trying to speed up pace of the game, and it's a good thing. We need to be proactive and get out ahead of it. We're losing fans. Our games takes too long, and needs to have a little more action, and I think this will help.
Hey, Scott, that series against the Astros was just so tight, back and forth for all 3 games, and you touched on it, just being right there with them. How tough was that to kind of stomach this offseason? But in that same context, how much confidence does it give you guys that you guys are pretty close to them and catching up?
It's only one team goes home happy at the end of the year. And it was a little hard. You sit on it for a few days, and then you start reflecting and looking back on everything we accomplished this year. And, from an organizational standpoint, not having been in the playoffs for so long, what we were able to accomplish, there's a lot of good that came out of it. But, we'll find out how much good as we get into this season. And believe me, we will have struggles this year. We are going to lose 5 or 6 in a row again. It's going to happen. It happens to every major league team throughout the course of the season at that point. the talk radio will want to get rid of me and Jerry and everything else that goes on. I get it. Okay, but it's going to happen. But our team, having been through it, kind of the slow start we got off to last year, turning the corner, those things really help when you've been through it before.
What does the next step look like for Cal?
He made a pretty big step last year. I think the consistency offensively, certainly, a lot of big hits, a lot of power, huge home runs, whatnot. But I know Cal and how he prides himself on coming to the ballpark every day and finding a way to help our team win the game. And we all know the great job he does behind the plate and the amount of time he puts in and the relationships he has with our pitchers and the trust factor, or the trust he's gained with our guys has been huge. But I know just the consistency offensively is something. And I know his thumb feels much better now. I don't know how he played down the stretch the way he did and as well as he did. A credit to him and the mental toughness that he showed last year. But he's got places to get better. He knows it.
Yeah.
You mentioned the depth, and it doesn't appear there are a lot of position battles in spring training. What are some of the things that you need to see in spring training, some questions that you need answered?
Yeah, there'll be a few. There's always battles. There's always things that come up. Guys get banged up or whatever. I think every camp I've gone into, you kind of say, okay, this is what our roster is going to look like, and then you wake up 45 days later and it didn't work out with these 2 or 3 guys, and these 2 or 3 guys really surprised you. So there will be some things that come up there. Certainly, bullpen spots, what our final rotation spot looks like, some of the bench spots. But I think for me, taking the next step in spring training is, I do think it is important. You kind of start all over again. You can't assume anything. And I talk to our coaches all the time about this, is when you go into camp, we got to start going over the same things on day one that we've always done. Don't leave any boxes unchecked, so to speak. And we'll spend a lot of time talking about the rule changes as well and how that is going to affect things. And maybe we can find some ways to use that to our advantage on the offensive side there. So there's plenty of things to hit on, but I don't want to lose sight of what makes us good. I think what makes us good is we pitch really well when we catch the ball. And when you hit timely home runs, you win a lot of games. That's kind of been our formula here. But we'll continue to play a lot of close games. I think the last couple of years we play as many one-run games as anybody in the league. That's just how we're built. That's how the ballpark is designed. The games are going to be close. There's not a lot of runs scored here. So doing the little things, catching the ball. Perry Hill loves spring training. That's the holy grail for Perry is spring training and the time he gets to spend with our infielders down there. So our guys know it. They look forward to it. The thing about this team, they're not afraid to work.
Scott, I was going to ask you about Aaron Rodgers, but I won't. What challenges?
No, it's amazing.
I can't help myself.
You can't.
It's what I do.
Yeah.
What challenges does it present when you could have 5-6 guys missing for the WBC and your workouts? It's your center fielder, it's your third baseman, a couple pitchers. Does it present any challenges, and do you worry when those guys aren't there and kind of out of your control about what's going to happen with them?
Well, you worry about the health-wise, and it's early in the season, and these guys are playing at such a high intensity level when they haven't been doing that for a number of months. So you're always worried about injury, and you want those guys to be healthy. These are key contributors for us going into the season. So, we did not have a good experience in 2017. It ended up hurting our season and our chances of winning that year. So you're always concerned about it. I think the fact that guys leave camp, there's a little bit of the camaraderie, the chemistry that's built up throughout spring training. With guys, and like I said, every team is different. Everybody says, you had a great run last year, and we had a great group of guys, and I thought we'd have carryover from 2021, and there really wasn't. We had new faces, we had new personalities, and we've added some more this year. So there is a little bit of the, I don't say worry, but understand why they have the event, understand the value of it, and you're trying to promote the game around the world, which it should, which MLB should. But, we'll lose those guys for a few weeks. As long as they're continuing to play and they're getting their reps in those games, they'll be ready to go when the bell rings on March 30th.
Stoney?
How do you see your DH spot this year? Is it just kind of a rotation?
Yeah, it is a good question. You won't see a full-time DH. Certainly, we picked up Carlos Santana, and he filled in for Ty a lot at first base when Ty was dealing with some injuries. But, you'll see, Teoscar Hernandez at DH. You'll see Pollock at DH some. You'll see that flow. You may see another catcher at DH on particular nights. So we will rotate guys through there. And I like it that way. I know it's great if you've got the big bopper, whether it's Nelly Cruz or David Ortiz, but if that guy doesn't exist, it really is beneficial to get those guys off their feet that day without losing their bat in the lineup. So I'd like to get Gino a few more DH days as well. That's why LaStella could be a fit here, and getting him some reps at third base is going to help.
Tim?
Scott, it's not too often a guy goes from playing to immediately on a major league coaching staff. What went into bringing Steven on board, and what do you think he can help provide?
Yeah, we've seen Steven Vogt for a long time, and I've always appreciated his game. And Jerry mentioned earlier, not just his game, but his path to get to where he did and the type of career he had. And it was funny, I had a long conversation with Steven Vogt right at the end of the year when we were playing Oakland. Probably talked to him for 20, 25 minutes just off to the side before a game started one day. And right away I could tell he was at the end. I've been there as a player, and what's the next step? And he was very clear he wanted to get into coaching, understand where he's at with his family and whatnot. And the fact that he is living in Olympia, it seemed like a great fit for us. When the opportunity came about for us to sit down and talk with him, it just seemed like a home run fit. I think he's got a lot of upside in the game. Wouldn't be surprised if he was sitting in this seat someday, being a manager of a major league team. But along the way, you'll learn, how the system works, and I always say what it's like on the other side of the door. And he's already learning. First of all, you don't show up and then leave early. Coaches are usually the last ones out of the building. But getting him exposed to what we do. From Zoom calls and talking to other coaches and our analytical group, and getting exposed to some of our players on some of the Zoom calls we've had this offseason. I think he's a great addition. The fact he's just coming off the field, he's not, he's going to spend the game time in the bullpen, but he will be involved in a lot of facets. We want him involved in our offensive game planning. He'll be involved, obviously, in the catcher game calling meetings, things like that, things that he's very comfortable with and he's very close to, having just come off the field. So I think it's a home run fit. I know he's fired up, and his family is as well.